Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music. And I'm going to do another pretty obscure band. I think there's a lot of people out there that probably haven't heard this band, Sundance. And they were from Chico, California. Came out in 1971, released one album on Cap Records. And a couple of the members used to be in a little bit harder band in the late 60s, I think about 68, called Gunge. And there's an album that's been released by them. I find that a little disappointing, but interesting to see that a couple members of this band used to do something harder. And the band is Randy Reeves on bass and vocals, Tom Webb on vocals, Fred Campbell on guitar and flute, Steve Cooley on guitar, and Lauren Fauchier on drums and vocals. And they are a killer band. And I know I tend to go for weirder bands. I definitely tend to go towards heavier bands. I like hard rock bands. I like bands. I like experimental stuff. But Sundance is really straightforward. They could have been really popular and really big. There's a somewhat of a commercial element to it, but I just think the band's great. When I listen to the album now, especially, Tom Webb is a great vocalist. He is definitely a great vocalist, and the more you get into the record and you hear everything that he can do, he's definitely a top-notch vocalist. I'm surprised he didn't end up in some bigger band. And the other thing about the band is top-notch musicians, and they really show it. Great instrumental work on the whole album. The drummer's killer. There's a lot of great two guitar work, and particularly the lead guitar player is super tasty and it really stands out on the record. And then the songs themselves are really strong and really have great arrangements. And like a lot of the best bands that I like, a lot of the arrangements within one song, there's a lot of evolving and a lot of opportunities for cool breaks and some great guitar work and to show off what a great drummer they have. And this record is really like that. And it really has a kind of a rural feel in a way. There's a lot of moments where they rock pretty good. There's some country rock. There's one tune on there that has pedal steel guitar, and it's really countrified and would do the Eagles justice. And there's also just standout harmony vocals on this record. And if you've watched a lot of my videos, you notice that I bring that up a lot of times. I really like that era where a lot of bands were really focusing in on having great two and three part harmonies, and the harmonies in Sundance are particularly good. But it opens up with a real stunner, a really unusual beat to it, and just great parts, and it really evolves nicely. Uh, cool lyrics, and I can't say enough how good the singer is on this record, and it kind of reminds me of people that like, and I don't mean to misdirect in a way, but there's some parts of it that remind me of the Eagles, some parts of it that remind me of America, some of it reminds me of the Doobie Brothers, some even reminds me of Kansas a little bit, and but it's definitely a little more straightforward and commercial in some respects than a lot of stuff that I've talked about. But the record is so overlooked, and it's such a wonderful record. And I'm such a big fan of late 60s, early 70s rock that even bands like this, they just have all the classic 70s moves, and I just really enjoy that as well. And it stops to the point where it becomes banal in its commerciality. It's just a great rural California rock album with all the best players in singing and songs. It's just a total package, and it's cool that it came out on Cap. I guess Cap Records as a rock label didn't last much further past this, but that whole period in the early 70s when they signed Budgie and Fanny Adams and Jodo and Silver Apples and this band Sundance, they definitely were finding some really great bands that should have had a lot more success. And as usual, I would have loved for Sundance to have another record or two because everything is so together on this record. They obviously were an excellent band all the way around. I'm sure they were killer live, and it would have been nice to see their evolution because there's some hard rock in there, a little bit of blues, a bunch of country influence, a lot of great jamming, excellent guitar work. It's all there, and so if they'd moved forward, I'm sure they would have explored a lot of different avenues. But with all the elements they brought together, um, great band, and they could have done so much more. So anyway, as usual, I'll post the link below for their single album, and I hope uh, some of my listeners out there are a little more open to some of these rural and country influenced rock bands with all the great 70s moves, because they're just as great as a lot of the hard rock bands as well, and you really can't go wrong with a lot of stuff out there from the early 70s, whether it's really super popular or whether it's really obscure like this one. Really quality work. So check them out. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching my channel.